level with me. What are the Level with me. What are the do's and don'ts of D&D table etiquette? Hello and welcome to Level With Me, the YouTube channel we can level up our TTRPG experience together. It's weird having a mic here. It's just, I'm afraid to kid it. Hello and welcome to Level With Me, the YouTube channel where we can level up our TTRPG experience together. My name is Will, and today we're going to be talking about table etiquette, the do's and don'ts and how to improve. So you're going to start playing D&D, fantastic. You are in for a great time. However, there are some things that you need to be made aware of before you pull up a chair to the table. Anything in this video should be taken with a pinch of salt because, well, I don't play at your table. I don't know the players. And, of course, these points kind of differ depending on whether you're playing with friends, playing with strangers, playing at home, or playing in a store or online. Everyone's going to expect something a little bit different when it comes to D&D table etiquette, so let's go over some general things, and maybe I'll go in deeper in another video. But before we jump into this video, just a reminder that this table works on shared experience, so any tips, tricks, or thoughts on the subject, leave them in the comments below to dish out some XP to the people in our community, and I will make sure to read them myself to give myself some XP points. Thank you. How generous of you. Thank you very much. Public service announcement out the way, let's get into my 7 tips to improve D&D table etiquette. Number 1. Be on time. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. Many times in my D&D sessions, we arrive on time, but then we're catching up and we discuss what food we're going to order on Just Eat. Sponsor me, because this is not the only time you're mentioned in this video. Maybe it helps to actually set a specific time in which the dice will start rolling. Much to my fiance's annoyance, it is a trait of mine that I am always on time. So if you have a reservation somewhere, you can bet I'm checking every 5 minutes to make sure she's getting ready, because I just have to put my shoes on, Hannah. I just have to put my shoes on, then we can go. Please get ready. We have a reservation.
I just have to get dressed.
Yay. And that takes, what, just 6 or 7 minutes?
Yeah, once I figure out what I'm wearing.
I'm either 40 minutes early or I am right on time. There is no in between. And if I'm running late to my destination, then you can bet your sweet bippy I am speed walking there. And that's kind of how I carry myself to D&D as well. We said 7:30, I'm going to be there at 7:30. Even if we're just catching up for 20 minutes, I will be at the table at 7:30. Which is why I say, as a table, set a time where the dice are going to start rolling, because you can get there at 7:30, acknowledge you're going to have 15 minutes catching up, then at 7:45, the game starts. Because you never want to be the person who is late for that first game in 3 months and you're the reason that they have to cut the time short. No one wants that. So just communicate it to your group, whether that is in like the WhatsApp chat or a text or a phone call or whatever, because the DM will appreciate this. Maybe they've got a logical ending for that session. If they're aware that you or someone else is going to be late, then they can make logical cuts to the session to make sure they leave the table on the cliffhanger that they want. So you're excited to play again in another 3 or 4 months because of scheduling issues. And then when that session in 4 months comes up, you're going to spend 20 minutes recapping anyway. You need to decide when the dice are going to be rolled. That'll be my tip. Number 2. Be prepared. Okay, you're there, you're on the time, but now it's time for the recap because you haven't played in 6 months because of scheduling issues. What the hell happened in the last session? I'm not saying that you have to remind yourself of the entire 40-session arc that you've been through. Just go through the last couple of sessions, because then when the recap comes around, you can chuck in your 2 cents and earn brownie points with the Dungeon Master. Make sure you have all your equipment ready for playing the game. This could vary from player to player, depending on what class they're playing, but as long as you have the ability to take notes, the ability to see your character sheet, and the ability to roll dice, you should be golden. Forgot your notebook? Just ask the host for an A4 sheet of paper and a pen. Forgot your character sheet? Pull it up on your phone or your tablet. Forgot your clickety clacks for rolling? Yeah, there's loads of apps out there. I personally use Mighty Dice. Mighty Dice, please sponsor me. I love your app. Number 3. There is time to talk and there's time to roll. When it comes to being attentive and giving players and characters the time and attention that they deserve, you need to know when to stop the side conversations and focus in on the game. Being present in the session is one of the best things you can do for the table as a whole. I just bit my tongue in that sentence. Sick. This is most poignant when the DM is setting up the scene, or if they're giving lore about the world that they've built that could be relevant to the party. Obviously, you're not going to be in the spotlight all the time, so side conversations will happen. That's absolutely okay. okay, it's understandable. However, you do have to have that sixth sense to focus in when you think you're going to be needed in a scene, or the information is relevant to you, or someone's trying to get you into the conversation to get involved in the roleplay. My brain enjoys the imagery of D&D and Cards Against Humanity, so if you can cater to that, you're going to win my points for that card. Anyway, it's actually a personal thing that I find it aggravating at the table if I'm trying to get engrossed in the scene, engrossed in the roleplay, and all I can hear is some TikToks next to me. That came out more angry than I thought it would. There's no swear in the script, that just fell out. Like I said back in the Be On Time section, decide when the latest start time is, because I know when I'm DMing, I feel really awkward going, yo guys, I know you're having a lovely conversation there, but can we be wizards and thanks. It's honestly a skill for any human being to be self-aware enough to focus up and shut their pie hole in life, not just D&D. Speaking of pie hole, smooth segue, nailed it. 4. Food and drink. Food and drink is a bi-weekly conversation I have with my table. Are we bringing in snacks, or are we ordering in? The real BBEG is the argument about whether we're having pizza or Chinese from Just Eat. Just Eat, please sponsor me. If you opt to bring snacks to the table, then it would be best to be aware of any dietary requirements anyone has, any allergies or intolerances, and then you can cater to them with what you bring. I personally, when I was hosting at my flat in London, I just put the oven on and went, everyone bring their own food. We're just gonna cook food, and when the food is ready, then we're gonna start. So usually it'd be arrive at 7:30, cook food, start at 8. There was one week where it was a pizza, a gluten-free lasagna, and then 2 pies for one person. Hi, Sam. Hey, buddy. He's a fiend. Sam's a fiend. Hey, Sam, if you're watching this video. Note to self, video idea. What is the best snack to bring to D&D? It's almost Christmas. What's the best Christmas snack to bring to D&D? Gotta hit that festive SEO, you know? One of the biggest debates that happens at most tables is alcohol. Are we allowed to drink during the game? Hey, if it's not gonna affect the game, then who am I to yuck someone's yum? I personally don't drink at games. I used to drink when I started playing D&D, but then I was like, I'm playing with my friends. I don't need to drink, so have a good time, because I'm a cool guy with a D&D YouTube channel. Hello, Editing Will here. Just remembered that that's kind of a white lie. I did have a couple of drinks when I started playing D&D, but then when I became the Dungeon Master, I had stopped. There was one day I had the day off, and I went to the pub for a couple of pints and finishing up my notes, and those couple of pints threw my entire game off. Like, my brain couldn't keep up with the RP happening at the table, so I was falling over my words and not thinking 2 steps ahead, and I genuinely left that session thinking that I had let my players, my friends, down, and I'd given them a bad session. They said they enjoyed it, but I felt those couple of drinks really messed up my thought processes during those 3 hours. So yeah, from then, I have now stopped drinking at Dungeons & Dragons completely. One thing I would advise is that you try and avoid messy food and drinks, lest you spill them on your character's brain. And by character's brain, I mean your notes. Speaking of notes, I am nailing these segues today. Yes, go Will. 5. Note-taking. You can take as many notes or as few notes as you like. These can be bullet points, they can be drawings, or you can go the whole hog and write a full monologue from your character's perspective about what happened during the session. But it is common courtesy to the Dungeon Master that you put something on paper. Notes, like I say, are great for the recap at the start of the session, but also they keep you connected to the world. It's like you're building up your own personal database of what happens. It also means that you can keep track of important NPCs that could crop up over and over again. In the Discord campaign that I'm playing at the minute, an NPC from 6 months ago came up a couple of sessions ago, so I had to go through Harvard Dro's brain because Will had forgotten who this NPC was. Harvard, however, came to the rescue for everyone in the session. My notes are all chicken scratches. Like, I've got such bad handwriting. I could have been a doctor with that handwriting, but alas, I did a musical theatre degree. Look at me go. Are you proud of me now, mum? I obviously take loads of notes. However, there are people like my friend Emily who just uses an A4 sheet of paper. But as DM, it did not go unnoticed that she was bringing each A4 bit of paper to the next session, keeping track of her notes. And she was always the first one to refer back to the notes if ever something happened. Segue. 6. Table politics. Heads up, this is going to be a rough one because there are massive grey areas in the subject, varying table to table, player to player, DM to DM, character to character. Like, this is, take what you want from this, essentially. The best way to avoid table politics is a good session zero. A good session zero can save you a lot of hassle down the road. You can discuss whether you allow homebrew items and rules and classes, races, so on. You can discuss when the best time is for everyone to play, because everyone has their own schedules, but most importantly, you can discuss people's veils and lines. Veils are things that the actual players themselves would not like to dwell on, and they would like to move past it quickly if it crops up in the story. Lines are things that should not be crossed. You do not talk about it at the table. It will make someone feel incredibly uncomfortable, and they prefer to stay out of the sessions, in and out of game entirely. This is where you have to be really honest with your dungeon master, your players, whoever's going to be at the table, because if you feel uncomfortable, you have to let someone know. I remember in London, I was hosting a game where the players were escaped convicts, and when it came to designing their player characters, I blanket said no SA of any kind, because I would feel horrific having to roleplay that at the table. That was the one blanket rule we had. Other than that, everything was pretty chill. But you don't know what people's backgrounds and histories and personal life is like, so you need to be open with each other, and even if it's not with each other, message the DM privately. You don't have to discuss it in front of the players. A good dungeon master will listen to the please do nots of their players, and they will accept it, and they will avoid the topic at the table entirely. Rules are something that's going to be debated during the game, no matter what you try. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on everything. The subject of rules is something that's going to cause massive debate at the table and could cause friction between players. As much as I want to say that the group should make the decision together, this one could actually be down to the dungeon master, because any rules that they instigate might have effects down the line. It might affect the entire world, and the players have to remember that if it's a rule for them, it's a rule for the NPCs and the enemies as well. The table etiquette aspect comes from how the table debates the proposed rule and how they really feel. As long as no one becomes a target because they're the one person with a differing opinion and the mood around the table doesn't get dampened, then that's a successful negotiation for me. However, if someone is purposefully trying to upset you, they are overlooking your veils and your lines, and they're trying to aggravate you, bring it up at the end of the session politely, and just make it known that this is the way you felt during this session. Just wondering if anyone felt the same, but can we try and avoid it for the next session? And if the problem persists, then there's a time to bring it up to the DM. It's cliche, but the DM might have to step in and intervene at some points. If you are having problems, whether that be at the table or in your personal life, let the dungeon master know, because if you come across a little standoffish or quiet during the session, at least the dungeon master is aware that it's nothing to do with the session, it's been a bad day. I want to sit in peace and just play some games with my friends today. Apologies for being quiet. And they should understand. And lastly, we're going to end on some positivity. Number 7, the most important one, appreciate others. Make sure you big up your table. It's cliche, but celebrate the nat 20s, compliment the roleplay, give snaps for that crazy plan that a player seemed to pull off somehow, despite the odds. Tell your dungeon master that you really enjoyed the session. I remember there was one session, it was a heist that I ran, where I actually got a round of applause at the end, and honestly, I put so much work into it, I was like, thank you. People feel good, they're gonna try more, they're gonna put in that effort, they're gonna wanna play the game. Isn't that weird? Something that I started to give my players the kudos that they deserved was a play of the day. I would pick one thing that happened that session, whether it be solid roleplay, a kooky plan, or just the funniest moments. I'd give that player inspiration for the next session. It inspires the table to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more outlandish, a little bit more sneaky, because everyone's vying for that 1 point, and it just brightens up the table a little bit. It sounds soppy, but celebrating other people's small victories is gonna give them a better outlook on the game, and they're gonna wanna come and play more. Appreciate others, and that will be reflected in the energy at the table. I'm not sure if that sentence made sense. Anyway, those are my 7 tips for how to improve table etiquette at your D&D table. Any tips, tricks, or thoughts on the subject, leave them in the comments below to dish out some XP. Like, comment, sub, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you very much.